Welcome back to Hot Take with myself, Terry Flewers, and of course, Mr. Mark Goldbridge. Loads to talk about today. Mainoo potentially wanting out. Will Liverpool be bidding for Alexander Isak? We're talking about the Bruno and Amorim out movement that has engulfed the timelines in the past 24 to 48 hours. We're talking Arsenal as well. We've got some great clips. If you're new to Hot Take, it's different from your normal shows. We're reacting to big tweets and big opinions from others and giving our hot takes on them. So hit the like button, please. Share this across your social media platforms. Good morning, Mark. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. Busy with all the Bundesliga stuff. I've got my Bundesliga official highlight show coming out today with all the goals. So think Gazetta from the 90s. So busy, bank holiday, but loads of good football. Feel bad for Newcastle last night. But yeah, that we're up and running again. Definitely. Lots to talk about.
I will say, I did say this on the United Stand last week. A massive congratulations for landing the Bundesliga. I'll say it right, the TV rights or the broadcasting rights for the Bundesliga. To do that as a lowly content creator is fantastic, mate. So well done to you and the team over there.
Thank you. Just a YouTuber. That's all we are. We're just YouTubers. Like Simon Jordan said, the way that people just refer to us as YouTubers, you know you've won when you get referred to a YouTuber, because that's their justification for the fact that they're coffee makers for mainstream broadcasters. I mean, all these journalists and all these bloody presenters, they're just bitches, basically. You are a bitch to a multi-billionaire who runs a media conglomerate. I can't even say it, conglomerate. And you take the piss out of us who own our own businesses, and you're just the coffee maker. Sit down and have a coffee.
You know what? There is so much truth to that, I think, in the sense of, you, even though Simon Jordan was quite complimentary, if you listen to it a couple of times, like I did, you do sort of see there was a few backhanded compliments, if that makes sense. And I was like, wow, they really are gutted about this. They're gutted about it. And I thought you destroyed what the overlap did as well, because they just showed the game. I mean, it's again, if you do that, you're not going to have those rights for very long. Football fans want more than what the mainstream has been doing. And they actually did less than the mainstream does. I was a little bit taken aback considering what they have.
I think knowing how the deal works, I think they were a little bit hamstrung with the fact that I think Gary and Jamie and everyone was working for Sky, weren't they? Because it was Chelsea against Thingy. So, but no, even that, I think it's great. Like, you know, the overlap is not Sky. I know they have good connections, but that's Gary Neville's company. And, you know, it's on YouTube at the end of the day. I just think the more those things are accessible for the viewer in a different way, the better, definitely.
Yeah, no, I hear you completely, mate. A few people say my mic's low. Oh, YouTube does this sometimes. StreamYard does it sometimes.
Yeah, it does to me all the time. I have to change it back after I've been on StreamYard. It just knocks it down by about 30%.
Yeah, I've manually adjusted it. Let me know if it's coming out a little bit better, people, in the comments section below. Obviously, loads to talk about this morning in relation to what's going on in the world of football. And we've obviously all seen the news today that Kobbie Mainoo is open to leaving Manchester United. The issue is where he goes, as there does not appear to be many options ahead of the market closing. So Ornstein confirming what a few others put out yesterday, that the player is open to leaving. I think Andy Mitten said maybe don't expect him to leave, but if a big offer came in, then there may be sort of room for maneuver there. Man United wouldn't turn down a big bid. What's your view on this? Because some people are losing their minds. The world's coming to an end. Others not so bothered. But where do you sit on the idea of United allowing Kobbie Mainoo to leave this summer window?
I think that's the most important point. It's not up to Mainoo, it's up to Manchester United. And Mainoo is only posturing because he's not getting minutes. I did a show at 2:00 yesterday, having spoken to a couple of people, one we both know. And the feedback was basically, this is just posturing. You know, it's not going to happen. Like, Mainoo wants a new contract at Man United. Man United want him to sign a new contract, and he's not actually getting minutes. So to put it out there that, you know, and actually the context of the quote from David Ornstein is that Mainoo would be open to leaving because he doesn't look like he's part of Amorim's plans. So that is big context, because that has been left out by some aggregators. It definitely does say because he's not in Amorim's plans at the moment. So that's a player going, well, of course I'm up for leaving if I'm not going to play games. And I don't, you know, so it's not like, some people yesterday were reporting it like it was a transfer request. It's not a transfer request. He loves Manchester United. He's been there since he was a kid, and he wants to stay at Manchester United. And he wants a contract. Man United probably don't want to pay the wages he wants, so there's a bit of a deadlock there. And we end up with this scenario where, look, journalists are part of the media as well. Like, just because David Ornstein or Fabrizio Romano are transfer journalists, where do you think they get their information from? You know, it's not the most, it will be coming from representatives of players and clubs who have their own story to write. I think this is just posturing around a new contract. Man United want Mainoo to sign a new contract. Mainoo wants to sign a new contract. He hasn't played for 2 games. It's a massive distraction in the Man United fan base from the real issue, which is we need a midfielder and a goalkeeper. Instead, we've got this ridiculous Mainoo versus Amorim conversation, which I just find belongs. It's a shame the schools are closed, because this belongs in a school playground. It is preposterous. This is taking up time, but it's the media again. This is what the media do. They create an agenda to divide this fan base, and ultimately the real pattern is turn the Man United fan base against Ruben Amorim, who, I was a great comment on the United Standby show this morning from Nick B, because there is Nick P who's very good, and he was saying, what if Man United aren't picking him because he's refusing to sign a contract, and it's a Trent scenario where he's going to run it down? And I went, it's speculative, but it might be the case. But I don't think that. I just think this is like, this gets resolved in 24 hours when he plays against Grimsby and he plays well.
Yeah, look, I think there's so many theories going around. I saw a United fan I know and respect last night started sharing a picture of Rio Ngamua scoring a goal, saying, and there are Man United fans justifying Mainoo not playing, and look what this 16-year-old just did. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you even mean by that? Because most Man United fans rate the ability of Kobbie Mainoo. And then I got attacked. And it was, well, you've been justifying it, saying maybe he's not playing because they're sort of taking care of his body and physique. I said, well, that's not strictly what I said. When I host shows, I go through various theories and views, because especially being a host, it's important to put balance out there. Some people think this, some people think that. This is a theory that maybe it's for this reason. Maybe there are some underlying issues the sports scientists have picked up in the past. My actual opinion is I think it's wrong that he isn't getting minutes. I want to see him given a run of games in the team, is my actual opinion.
Bruno playing like he is.
Yeah, Bruno's been awful. And I think that also, you know, if Bruno had been brilliant in his opening 2 games, the irony is this conversation would be very different without Mainoo getting minutes. So I don't disagree with people that he should be in, but I also think some people are doing too much, to an extent that when Rashford didn't get in the team for a couple of games under Ragnick and went straight out to Henry Winter and said that maybe he has to consider leaving, the same people defending Mainoo attacked Rashford because they didn't rate Rashford. And I've been talking about this loyalty thing all summer. We are only loyal to what we like. There's nothing to do with morals or ethics in this loyalty bullshit from football fans. It's, I hate Rashford when he was posturing to leave, or posturing for a new deal when he used PSG to get the 300k a week, because you didn't rate Rashford. But because you rate Mainoo, him potentially posturing, his team telling the media he's open to leaving, because you agree that he should be playing and you rate him, suddenly you're supporting that behavior. And that's my issue in all of this. I have no personal issue with Kobbie Mainoo. I'm sure what I've just said is going to get twisted by the amoebas and the toaster people and the scumbags on X, but go for it. I have no issue with him. I want him to play. If it turns out this is posturing to get a better deal, if it turns out this is posturing to try and force his way into the first team, I'm against it, and he should be punished in the same way I've been requesting for every other player that behaves badly, or their agents behave badly within the club do, because that isn't right. And for me, I hope this is resolved. I hope we keep him. I hope he signs a new deal, and I hope he's massively successful at Man United because I think he's a fantastic player. But I also agree with you. United are not in a good space, and we haven't been for a while. This is a little bit, right now there's a little fire that's broken out, and we've got an option here. We can help put it out as fans, or we can throw petrol over it and start a forest fire that burns down half a city. And there's part of me that looks at some United fans online, and I'm like, do you even have to engage in all of this? Do you have to spend 2 or 3 hours ripping into your own club? You can say, I want Mainoo to play, but the way I see people siding with certain members of the mainstream media going in on this is absolutely crazy to me. And there's this tweet here that I wanted to show you that said about Kobbie Mainoo, because there was 3. Chris Wheeler said Kobbie Mainoo has 3 options: attempt to oust Bruno Fernandes, wait for a potential manager change if Amorim doesn't work out, or consider leaving his boyhood club. The latter has become a real possibility. And the FPL Fraser here quote tweets is, how about being a squad option, learn the role and develop into a starting player in 1 or 2 years, like most young players are doing? When you see opinions like this get shut down and get a lot of abuse, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I just think some people want to see the world burn. And I've said this on the United stand for years. We have
all right, Alfred.
yeah, Batman. Sometimes, a bit Amorim is sometimes the hero's got to be the villain. And I think things will get worse before they get better. And I know this season's going to be a roller coaster. I also know there's a legacy of people from last season who were Amorim out. And they've put their fake smiles on for pre-season because they've got to do content for that, and they've put their fake smiles on for transfers because they've got to grow off that. They can't sit on their arse for 3 months and say I'm hammering out. They've got to be fake.
Yeah.
But the minute the football's back, the real them comes out. I told you so. I told you so. FC, and they're back, and they have a cult that follows them. But ultimately, answer me this: if Manchester United on Sunday, if Cunha doesn't hit the post and it goes in and we're 1-0 after 5 minutes, and then Bruno scores the penalty and it's 2-0, and we win that game 2-0, are people going Amorim out, Mainoo in, or are they going, we played brilliant against Arsenal, we've won 2-0 at Fulham, we'll probably beat Burnley, 7 from 9, we're going to get top 4. And it goes the other way. It goes the other way until you get beat by Man City at Etihad, and then it's Amorim out again. I don't know whether other clubs have this, but as a football club, we are absolutely lost in this. And people will say, you're part of the problem, United stand. And I go, no, I'm a very emotional football fan when I watch football, and I react in a very emotional way. But I don't flip-flop. I don't go from one to the other. I was Jose in for ages, and then I was Jose out. I was Ollie in for ages, and then I was Ollie out. With Van Gaal, I was Van Gaal out very early, and it was a very toxic 5 months. But I make my mind up and I stick to it. What I can't do with is up, down, up, down. I mean, there's that bloody Goldstein on Talk Shit. He's meant to be a Man United fan. He used to work for MUTV. All he is now is a voice for hire. One day we're winning the league. The next day it's a disgrace and, the manager needs to go. And it's like that. That's the modern media. That's what they do. And it's like, it doesn't help this football club. And it makes me laugh because people say the negative stand. But if you actually watch it, of course, you're going to get all the opinions in the live chat like you get here. And that's great. But the fundamental message from me and the presenters is that we're actually very consistent. Ricky doesn't like Bruno, never has liked Bruno, never liked Rashford. But it's there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I do like Bruno. I just don't like him in the midfield. And I think he shouldn't be playing there. And we'll be very consistent on it.
You mentioned Andy Goldstein. It's one of the clips I had prepared for us today. Let's take a little. We'll come back to the Mainoo thing in a minute, but let's take a little listen to what he says here.
It's disgusting, right? Yeah. And we've spent close to £200 million. We've got strike force. One of our problems last season was lack of goals. Although I did think our problems were everywhere on the pitch, not just lack of goals. Defensively, I think we look quite shambolic.
The tactic situation is...
I don't know where I'm going to start, but I'll start with, in no particular order, formations. 3 at the back is not working. I don't think it's ever going to work for Man United, right? And he can claim he hasn't got the players, but he's had windows to get players in. He bought 2 number 10s. We had Bruno Fernandes. We had a number 10. We didn't need 2 more. I understand that if you want to play in a style where you're getting rid of Garnacho and you're getting rid of Rashford, maybe these 2 players can replace them. I get that. I understand it. But the problems for Man United were not scoring goals, but also defensively, right? We haven't sorted out the goalkeeper. No. Onana looks like he's our second choice now. I don't know if if we're doing this deal to bring in this Belgian young kid coming in, but I don't know if he's the answer. Also, all of a sudden you bring a young kid in and it's his job, his responsibility to stop.
By the way, 23 years old is not a young kid. Just going to point that out, Mr. Goldstein.
Conceding goals,
and also
pressure.
And also being in goal from Manchester United, by the way.
It's massive.
It's massive.
And you've got someone like Donnarumma, apparently he's in talks with Man City.
He's getting,
right?
especially off the Trafford. I feel sorry for him. Carry on.
Again, but goalkeepers playing it out from the back, always going to get caught. That's the manager's decision, not the goalkeepers. But I just can't. I think, well, I was talking to Anil's in there, he's a Man United fan. We were chatting earlier on, we were both crying on each other's shoulders. But we're talking about the squad that we've got and the players we've got. And we've got a team that can play 4-3-3. We've got that team. The three in the middle of the park would be Mainoo. If Mainoo is allowed to leave Manchester United, everyone needs to look at themselves. That'd be disgusting to let a young kid who played for England in the final of the Euros, let's not forget that, look fantastic. We did a whole show.
Did he score in the FA Cup final?
He did for Man United.
Yeah.
Obviously, Man United. We did a show before the Euros, and the question was, who's England's most important player? And I said Mainoo, and people laughed at me. And through that Euro campaign, it looked like I was right. He was a real... No, but he was in the conversation. Yes, he was an important part of England, right?
Yeah.
Now he's not getting a look in, and that means he wants to leave, supposedly. If we let him go, it'd be a travesty, right?
Pathetic. The tactics are the issue. I've seen a lot of people talk about the tactics being the issue. What's your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction to that is that I should get some sort of fee for having to listen to that shit. I mean, like, me and him on the same screen will never happen because the guy's full of shit. Yeah, I mean, it just embodies, and there are even people in the chat saying he's talking sense, and that's the problem. Like, there's people that think that's sense. So, Man United are selling Mainoo, are they? No, they're not. Man United are not trying to sell Mainoo. They want him to sign a new contract. So, yeah, well done for your propaganda there. You know, generate a little bit more hate and agenda towards the club and the manager. Man United are not trying to sell Mainoo. You're talking about a game against Spain over a year ago. He had a bad season last year by his own admission for Ten Hag before and after with Amorim. So Mainoo needs to prove himself. I want him to play, but he needs to prove himself. Why are we talking about Spain? And then the creme de la creme, the cherry on the cake from Pratt's team is talking about a 4-3-3. I mean, three at the back's never going to work. Why? Why is three at the back never going to work? It worked very well against Arsenal last week. The keeper fucked up. It worked really well against Fulham for about 20 minutes, and we actually got a draw. So 3-4-3 is not going to work, despite, you know, us drawing at Fulham, who are a good team, and messing up because of the goalkeeper. And we need to go to a 4-3-3, which these players actually were bought for. Most of these players are 4-3-3 players. And the reason we're not playing 4-3-3 is because they're shit at it and they got the 4-3-3 manager sacked. So we should go back to the 4-3-3 with the players that suit the 4-3-3 who got the 4-3-3 manager sacked. And we should play 4-3-3 with a manager that doesn't play 4-3-3. And this is the hamster wheel of being a Man United fan. You know, I don't want to talk about this because it's so long ago, but Sir Alex Ferguson rebuilt a football club over 3 to 4 years where we were shit. We won the FA Cup, but we weren't that good. And then a dynasty was built. Now, we're never going to build that dynasty again, but if there's one lesson from that, why are we talking about Ruben Amorim? Why is he talking about Lemens and Ruben Amorim? Why is he talking about the midfield and Ruben Amorim? Have you ever thought that Ruben Amorim doesn't negotiate and doesn't get the players? And maybe Ruben Amorim said, I want Donnarumma, he definitely wanted Baleba, I want 2 number 10s, I want a striker. And United went, yes, we'll get them all. They get the striker, they get the 2 number 10s and went, we've run out of money. We can't get you the midfielder and the goalkeeper. And Amorim goes, you should have got me the midfielder before you should have got me another number 10. So it's always the manager's responsibility. And this happens every single year. As soon as the football starts, everything's the manager's fault.
Yeah.
Transfers, sales, everything.
Well, we spoke about that about 3 months ago. You said the exact same thing on this podcast 3 months ago, that as soon as the football begins, the focus on Ineos and the transfer window and the problems that have come before it, which the Glazers and Ed Woodward created, the fact that we can't get rid of the bomb squad. And I don't even blame Ineos. I don't even blame Ineos for that, because they're between a rock and a hard place for something they didn't even create. All
100%.
of that is forgotten. And it's all on the manager. Now, interesting thing about the tactics is that I was reading something last night because I wanted to just get away from football. And it was a great blog, article, blog, whatever you call it. And it was titled, Your Value is in Identifying the Problems, Not Solving It. And it was almost satirical in many ways and a little bit satire about people in life that just moan about problems but can't find a way to resolve it. And you do any research into problem solving, which is essentially we're part of that. Part of what we do as fans is we identify a problem and we suggest ways and we push ways that we think can solve it. Whether it actually has an impact on the club or not is up for debate. Some people believe that it does. Other people think it doesn't. But there we go. But for me, we spend so much time and we waste so much effort focusing on symptoms and not the problems. I think we waste so much effort and resource chasing bad solutions. And as you've just said, I'm actually not Amorim in, Amorim out, Amorim adjacent. I'm not actually that worried whether we sack him today or in 2 years. I am more worried about the project and the rebuild. Are we going to go in a brand new direction again? Are we going to bring in a manager that doesn't like the Cunhas and the Mbumos?
Dangerous.
You know, we've done this before. That for me is more my concern. So when people go, would you sack the manager or not? I'm going to be really honest. I think Man United fans still doing manager in, manager out debates. It's elementary. This is that's key stage 1, ABCs. Do you know your primary colours? I can't do it anymore, Mark. I can't have that debate. That can't be the whole debate.
Some people love it though. Some people love it. They almost got their calendar mapped out, and the media definitely do.
It's true. It's true.
New manager comes in. Let's be positive. As soon as it starts going wrong, plant the seed so that you can be right. Transfer window, forget it. Just be positive about everything. Season comes back, start with negativity, build it. And look, unfortunately, we do live in a world. It's great that we've got Bundesliga rights. It's great that, you know, there's X and all this, that. But ultimately, it also gives platforms to people who can set their own agenda and they will never change it. There are Arsenal fans that are actually Arteta out. And will plug, you know, they are Arteta out, and you're like, they should be ridiculed, they should be shut down, but actually they do cater, in fairness, to a certain audience, and it will never change. And United are the same. Like this cycle benefits them. Like maybe it's a financial thing, I don't know, but it benefits them to just go round the cycle. And I don't want to be on that cycle. I don't even think about sacking a manager because I look at a board that made a decision that when they made it last November stunned me. I was like, because I know who Amorim is. I was like, he's a 3-4-3 manager. So they're gonna have to rebuild this entire club. But we're not even halfway there yet, you know.
And for me, that's also my biggest fear in this is that we all knew, a lot of us understood that this is going to be a long, hard slog to build a squad that's capable of winning the league, because that's the end goal. We're ripping the entire script up. We're changing every facet of the way we play football. And we're less than a year into it. We haven't had a great summer in the window, which this is the thing that gets me. People now saying we've hired a dud manager were the same people just 3 weeks ago slagging off Ineos for having an awful summer and not buying the team that's needed. And I heard you say something yesterday, and it's so true. If you switch the Man United midfield as a unit with Newcastle's, I know they're not in a good position in the league, but they played quite well last night. If you switch it with Arsenal's, you switch it with Tottenham's, you switch it with any of those better teams, you switch it with Chelsea's, there's a possibility you would see a complete 180 in where both teams are. But on the tactics and the system, people then ignore things in these debates. And I think there's things to criticize Ruben Amorim on, and I've done them. I don't think he should be playing in the 8. I'm shocked at players as well that just get away with this. The fact that our wide men, both Dorgu and Ahmad, were barely criticised this weekend. That's where the space was. They got the ball in that space. They didn't want to run at their fullbacks. Absolutely shocking that they didn't do it. There's the goalkeeper element, which I still would have picked Onana over Bayern, but I know what the manager and the club's doing. I knew all summer we're forcing him out, which again, there are steps back to go forward. Lemaines is probably going to come in. He's going to become, and all summer we've said it's a number 2. We all knew, Man United fans in their heart knew it was a number 1 choice. It's just the way the club's pushing it. But for me, we've had only one or two teams have got the ball into the box, the opponent's box, more times than Man United this. I bet when you look at the numbers, Man United have had the ball in the opponent's box, had more touches in the opponent's box than nearly every other team in the Premier League. My eyes have shown me we've worked the ball into that area. We are going to be in the top 5 or 6 for chances created or XG, whichever metrics people want to use. We are one of the worst in the league at converting these opportunities and chances. And I looked at a statistic last night, and I'm not going to call it a stat because people get funny with it. I looked at a fact last night. The bottom 5 teams after 2 games in the Prem. Now, I'd never normally look at a league table, Mark, but I had to because of the absolute meltdowns and stuff yesterday. The bottom 5 teams have got something massive in common. They're not scoring goals. Brighton and Man United are in the top 6 for opportunities created, but have the worst performance against that, as in we've underachieved, we've missed, and we know we've missed the chances. Cunha's 2 big ones this weekend as an example, Maguire's header, the penalty, 4 really good chances. The Arsenal game, how many really good opportunities to score, and some of them, by the way, you don't even get XG for. When Ahmad runs in front of Mbeumo to stop him striking on goal with that great attack we had against Arsenal in the second half, you don't even get XG for that because there was no bloody shot. So that's not even factored in, right? Us and Brighton are in the bottom 5 of the league because we haven't converted the chances. The other 3 teams in the bottom 5, they haven't scored and they haven't created. I know the midfield is important. I know a new goalkeeper is important. I'm not ignoring these points. But our biggest problem, and this is what I didn't like what Andy Goldstein said, he kind of brushed over the goals. The goals are the reason that we've got 1 point in 2 games. It isn't our midfield. And to a degree, yes, the goalkeeper basically put the ball into his own net against Arsenal. So he's partly to blame. But we had the opportunities to equalise. We had the opportunities to go ahead. We had the opportunities to equalise and win all of these games. And as much as Fulham spoke about after the game, they knew how to get through us. They created 1 good opportunity in the first half, which Bayern saved. And then there was the goal. And that goal doesn't happen if 1, the low doesn't have a stupid touch. 2, if Bruno stays with his man. That had nothing to do with 3 at the back or 2 in the middle. Because if Bruno runs with his man and stays goal side, he clears it. If Delo does the right thing and is sensible, controls the ball, lays it off and moves, they don't score either. And I think there's been a massive overreaction to this. It doesn't mean there's a guarantee we're going to get better. If we don't start scoring goals, it doesn't matter. We could go back to 4-3-3. If we don't score goals, it won't matter. And I do think that we're being a little bit hoodwinked. The debates are being reshaped in a way in which they shouldn't. But I want to play you a clip about Bruno Fernandes here. I think it's a really, really important one. We're going to go to Super Chats in a minute. This is from Sam Matterface.
As he was triggered by that incident. He said, it's not the reason I missed the penalty, but, I was upset because the referee didn't apologise to me, and that's what triggered me in that moment. It's not an excuse to miss it. I hit a bad ball. It took it from underneath my foot, and that's why it ended up going over the bar, but it triggered me.
What a baby. Honestly, it's pathetic. Triggered him because he bumped the referee before ballooning the pen over the bar. This is supposed to be the captain of one of the biggest clubs in the world. Would you see Eric Cantona, Steve Bruce, Roy Keane, Brian Robson be put off, Martin, because the referee bumped into him? Grow up, honestly. Therein lies the problem with the modern day Manchester United. Look at Wayne Rooney. He was having a row with the referee, turns around and smashes a volley into the top corner. That's how you react.
I must admit, this did happen way back quite some years ago when Brian Clough took me off for me missing a glaring opportunity, and I blamed the referee. Who was only about 65 yards away. No, I'm only joking. I'm having a joke. I mean, it's ridiculous, and I'm totally with Cricky. I mean, if that's the case, if the referee's got in your way or in any aspect, could recompose yourself.
Exactly what I said. I think.
Recompose yourself.
Which is what he did, actually. He then went over, picked the ball up, walked away, went back in again, put it down, and then took his time. But is this sort of more evidence as to why people question whether or not he should be the Manchester United captain?
What were your thoughts on the penalty miss, Bruno's reaction to it, and the fallout since? Because it has rightfully been criticised, been a terrible penalty, moaning about the referee bumping into him. What's your thoughts on it, mate?
I mean, I don't know why we have to put those twats on, but it does. They do represent exactly, it's fairness. It's a good clip as to what the reaction is. I mean, look. I laughed about it on Sunday night on our little chat group we have for United Stand. I said, why is he getting so wound up about a referee knocking into him? That's what I said. But again, if you listen to the quote, this is like if we beat Fulham, no one's talking about Mainoo versus Amorim. And if he scores that penalty, no one's talking about him being angry at the ref. And the reality is, Bruno himself said, I was angry at the ref, but it isn't the reason I missed the penalty. But I was angry that he did that. And the way they're talking about it is, well, he missed the penalty because he was angry, but he literally said, I was angry, but then I recomposed myself and I missed it because I kicked it in the wrong place and I sent it over the bar. But again, it's just like, we're really bad at this. We're really bad at this. And I think I'm bad at it. You're bad at it. Everybody's bad at it. That's not the story. As a Man United fan, I couldn't give a shit about whether he was angry with the referee, whether he should be the captain of the club. The thing that makes me angry is he didn't track Smith Rowe because he's playing out of position. The thing that made me angry is that he's playing in the midfield and there are 10-yard passes into the ball to Cunha, which we need. And he's hitting 60-yard passes to the left back that are going out of play. The thing that makes me angry is that Bruno Fernandes is playing out of position. I couldn't give a shit about the referee stuff. And, all that is like when Anthony did the fidget spinner thing and he got absolutely rinsed for it. All that is technically bullying. It's just like, let's have a pop at Bruno Fernandes because he got angry because a referee bumped into him and missed the penalty. But he said himself he didn't miss the penalty because of that. I think maybe he did, to be honest. I think he tried to blast it when he might have placed it. There was probably a bit of frustration, which is actually what Rooney did when he got angry against Newcastle that time and blasted the shit out of the ball in the top corner. So, I just think Bruno's reaction was petulant, but the video about it, that, oh, baby, this, that, and the other, it's like, shut up. Go and spread your nonsense transfer news, because the reality is this is not the real problem. The grown-up conversation is, why is Ruben Amorim sticking Bruno Fernandes in the midfield? And it's costing us a win against Fulham.
Yeah, that is more my issue. Look, a lot of people don't like the way Bruno behaves and acts. And I feel that, listen, you said it earlier, you're spot on. Some Man United fans have not liked Bruno Fernandes since day one. Actually, that's not true. They all liked him day one. They liked him in the first couple of months because the content's there. Go back and watch people that say they hate him now. Go back and watch the first 3 months, 4 months of Bruno. There was this excitement because Pogba was out injured, if you remember. And then Pogba rejoined.
That's why
and we weren't meant to get Pogba back that season. But then lockdown happened. The season was delayed and we got him back because of the way that the season came back in the summer and he was back fit. And we all loved it when they started playing together. And then what happened, and it was unfortunate for the club, but Pogba's inconsistencies arose. His agent and his team were always looking for a move. And some Man United fans were disgusting to Pogba, absolutely. And it just and it's happened so much in the Man United fan base. You get this situation where a player's loved by a certain group, and there's a different group that hates that player. But what the lovers of the player now being slagged off do is they look for who those other fans love. And in this case, it was Bruno Fernandes, and he became a target. And
do you not...
Go on, mate.
I was going to say, do you not find, though, that one of the big problems we have everywhere now is the inability to be contextual? It's like an episode of Star Wars where you've got the Jedi and you've got the Sith, and it's like extremity of beliefs. I wouldn't want to be a bloody Jedi. They probably don't drink. But I wouldn't want to be a Sith because they're just evil. I want to be something in between. I sort of want to go, well, look, I'm not saying anything the Sith did was good, but, I think the Jedi take it too far. They're too up their own arse. And I think, it's like with Bruno, right? It is just a pile on everything, but piling on to that penalty miss and the petulance. To me, it's just, that is the hate. That is the agenda. That is the, technical bullying, whatever. I don't mean bullying in the strongest sense of the word. I just mean it's a pile on. I absolutely blasted Bruno after the game against Fulham. He was shit and he should have been subbed off. But I will always say, put him as a number 10. I ain't selling him. But there's no place for him as a number 10 now because we bought two.
I agree. I agree. And I think you're right. And as I was alluding to, some people, they took a dislike to him for, I think, non-footballing reasons. And then we started to see look how many times he loses the ball. The same amount as all the other highly creative football players in Europe. And that was all provable when you looked at KDB, Trent Alexander-Arnold and others. Oh, yeah, but Jack Grealish doesn't. Yeah, but Jack Grealish is barely creating chances. The reason, if Bruno stopped taking the risk to create chances, he'd lose the ball less, but he wouldn't be the player he was. What I see happening now with Bruno is, now that he's out of position, And he's had bad periods even in the 10 for United, but by and large, in the last 5 years, he's been our best player. Some people are so angry that they were wrong and they've been disproven again and again. This is the time to jump on it. It's it's like a bitch in heat, and I've got to jump on it now to prove I was always right. But you weren't always right. He is not. We all agree he shouldn't be in this 8. But that doesn't mean you were right 4 years ago when you were saying he was one of the worst signings we've ever made in the history of Man United because he's a grenade launcher. He was a fantastic creator. Nothing undoes that. And you're right. And I don't like taking away people's personalities either in football. I think you ruin a player. Bruno is a little petulant. Yes. So was Cristiano Ronaldo. Yet, because United were winning and he was performing, you got called out a little bit. No Man United fan ever cared. Imagine you took away the aggression of Eric Cantona. He wouldn't have been the same player. I actually think one of the reasons that Anthony fouled at Man United is because he was forced into stop doing the fidget spinner stuff. That was him. You're taking a part of him away. It's what he does. You start taking those bits away from people, they lose a bit of themselves. And I know he did it and then played a pass that overrun, but loads of players play that pass that overruns. I would have just said, like Ten Hag and the club bought him knowing what he was. And then we started to try and make him change himself when he came here. It reminds me of Graham Potter. Graham Potter's downfall started when he went to Chelsea, got a fade in his hair, tried wearing a slick Gucci suit and being a different. He tried to become somebody. It takes me back to the Mighty Ducks 2, D2, when they go to the Junior Goodwill games and Coach Bombay one day turned up in a suit with his hair slicked back. You knew they were going to get beat by Iceland, and they did. Because Bombay wasn't being himself. He started acting differently. And I know that's a children's movie, but there is some real good lessons in there. Let people be themselves. I love what Bruno done for this club, but what I will agree on is in this 8, we have got major problems with him being in the 8. Not what he does in possession. It's what he does when we're out of possession. He rushes around too much. But look, viewers, give us your thoughts and give us your opinions. We've got some super chats. We actually had a poll running as well. Are United's tactics the main issue? 52% say no, 48% say yes. I want to say a massive thank you for this super chat. Absolutely massive super chat.
You might regret, mate. You might regret this one. They've been on the United stand. Like, they are very generous, but it's propaganda. We've already fell out this morning on the United stand. I said, I basically said they are very generous super chats, and I don't want to come across as ungrateful, but I'd rather not have the super chats than have your constant agenda. So, that I'm just giving you a pre-date here. You will probably take the money and run and say, please keep doing it, to be fair. I know what you're like.
Don't spread that rumor. I'll get even more hate online. Terry, if you look at football over the last decade, you will struggle to find a decorated or successful football club that plays 3 centre-backs. This coach is literally benching a generational talent in Mainoo, who is perfect to play in an 8 in a midfield 3. Well, look,
he's not generational, is he? I mean, he's a talent, but he's not generational. Mason Greenwood, I described as generational. I think Yoro looks generational. I don't think Mainoo looks generational. I think Mainoo probably reminds me a little bit of, a Jack Wilshere or someone like that. Jack Wilshere wasn't generational when he broke through. I mean, look, Mainoo could end up being one of England's greatest midfielders, but I wouldn't describe him as generational.
See, I did. So that's what I think we see a little different. I really love, but sometimes this is preference.
No, that's the point. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think I might have used generational the season before last, but right here, right now, after what happened last year, I don't think he wasn't very good. He wasn't very good last year, and that needs to be taken into consideration. What I would say about the overarching super chat, though, is this: give me your money.
Yeah, thank you. I need another one because I need to pull out a question. I'm joking. That's so very generous, and
I don't understand what you're saying. Could you send another one, please?
Yeah. Could you rephrase it in another way? But what's the next color up? Well, not red, but no. Listen, I really appreciate the super chat. I've said this for many years, so my long-standing viewers are going to know this. I'm not obsessed with with what the starting lineup looks like on a screen. When you play 4-3-3, a lot of teams that play 4-3-3 move into 3 centre-backs when they're defending. Liverpool did it on a very regular basis under Jurgen Klopp. Fabinho would drop back deep because the fullbacks would push forward. The idea that we only have 2 in midfield, again, I find it to be an oversimplification. I don't think tactics should be overly complicated, like Tacticos. They make it sound like NASA rocket science. You need Elon Musk intellect to understand it. But it isn't as basic as playing drafts. So when your fullbacks push up the way ours do, you have 4 in midfield. We have centre backs that move up into the midfield, which creates a 3 when we're in possession. So I don't, same as 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. They can often be the same. Arsenal play 4-3-3, and don't keep calling Odegaard a 10. He ain't what Bruno, and he doesn't play where Bruno and KDB do. Well, look at the heat maps, and the heat maps show you what they do in possession. They pick up exactly the same positions on the pitch for 3 years running. So I don't care whether it's 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. They are, for me, it is a little bit of a muchness, and I think we spend too much time focusing on it. What we are ignoring is Ockham's razor. We need better players overall. United have got this is the bit that's being forgotten by the media because it's too intellectual. And that's a lot. Let me rephrase that. It's too intellectual for some of those ex-footballers, I'm telling you. But they think the audience are thick. It's why they use net spend still on Match of the Day. Man United have progressively got worse over 12 years. We're not where we are purely because Amorim has come in. Anyone who believes that is misguided. We were tracking towards, we're only 4 points off the top 4 before he came in. Yes, but look at the win ratio and extrapolate that over 38 games. We actually finished 4 or 5 points higher than Ten Hag was tracking to, right? The point is this squad is mangled, imbalanced, and isn't very good. The players are, again, getting and I'm not saying Mainoo's getting leeway. Mainoo deserves to play. I stand on that. But this team is going to struggle no matter who the manager is, no matter what the system is. Why? Because Ollie and Ten Hag have shown that. Yes, if we adapt to the players, create a little bit of a hybrid system, and we'll get the absolute best out of everything we've got now. We might get a spike for a period. But as soon as we try to be a little more sophisticated in our play to try and develop a team that could win the title, we will fall back unless the recruitment is good. But to fix this squad in the recruitment level, it's another 2 to 3 years of buying and selling. And it doesn't matter who the manager is. We might get a little better. We might not be 15th. We might be 10th. We might not be 10th. We might be 7th. But people have these weird ideals, my friend, that go 4-3-3, put Mainoo there, stick Cunha left and then Mbeumo right. Watch this team fly. Top 5 easy. We've said these things. We're saying top 5 now because of where we are. Before it was, we'll go from top 4 challenge to win the league. We have said this about every manager we wanted to sack. The only time I think it was close to being accurate was Moyes, because the team had won the league the year before. Every time we've said it, we've actually got worse by the end of that next manager's reign. So for me, I look at it and think we're still focusing on surface level issues, symptoms, and we are not focused on the root cause problems that have led to us being in this position. So as amazing super chat from the size of the donation, I appreciate it, but I don't, the formation just isn't that important to me. People 7 defenders. Look at the heat maps of us versus teams that play 4-3-3. You won't see a lot of differences. You'll see players in the same pockets and spaces, for me anyway. George here says, need players for systems to work versus every team versus the top 6 who can counter to win, but struggle versus teams we should beat because we don't have players in control. It's a great point, but the only way you're going to get that is by buying them. So changing managers, does it actually change that too much? The answer for me is no. That all being said, we went and bought goal scorers. I got the logic. Because if we can score goals in these games, we win them, buys the manager and the club time. So far, I love Cunha and Mbeumo, but they have both missed really good opportunities in the first 3 games to score goals. I'm not going to say they're flops or they're busts, but they deserve criticism for that because we criticised Garnacho and Rasmus for missing those chances last year, and rightfully so. They also should be criticised. But I think a lot of people have flipped because they did this whole, I hate Garnacho, I hate Rasmus rubbish. We bought ballers, we're going to do it. Well, I can't blame the ballers because then it looks like my ball knowledge is bad. So what I will do is I'll turn on the manager. It's very disingenuous from some people. Amorim has only had 10 months, doesn't have his own 11, hasn't had enough time on the training pitch, only 1 pre-season, only had 2 transfer windows, players still adapting. Don't see any problem for Thomas Frank after 2 games.
Yeah, but you know what? Like this happened with Ten Hag. Ange season 1 did really well, and Ten Hag season 2 didn't. And then it was like, look at this, and then Ange's second season was fucking shite. So, like, you know, I don't, but, and also Tottenham's not Manchester United. Tottenham have just won the Europa League. They've got a very, very good squad. And also, Ange's system is way more technical than Thomas Frank. I like Thomas Frank, but he survives on 30% possession at Brentford sometimes. His system is very much in the word of a Glasner. It's defensively sound, and it counterattacks ridiculously efficiently. And I like Thomas Frank, and I think he's done a great job at Spurs. But that system, you know, Thomas Frank at Manchester United would do better than Amorim with the players that he's got, because they would suit it better. Do you want to play like Thomas Frank at Man United? If you want that, then maybe we should have brought Thomas Frank in. So Jim Radcliffe and Ineos chose Amorim. Thomas Frank was available. The system that Amorim plays does not suit these players, as Terry said. It's definitely players. Lindelof was here for 8 years. Harry Maguire's been here for a long time. Casemiro's going to be here for 3-4 years. Like, we people overstay their welcome. We haven't got the players. We haven't got the players to play Amorim's system. So if you want to moan about that, well, it's very obvious where the blame goes. It doesn't even go with the players. It goes with the people who decided we need to play 3-4-3 at Old Trafford. And I must put my hands up and say, I'll always be sad we don't play a back four. I mean, Man United for me is a back four, but that doesn't mean I don't back Amorim. We've made the choice. And if we've made that choice, it's like building a house. And then, you know, you've only built the ground floor and you go, fuck it. Let's start again. Like, you've got to build the house.
Yeah. No, listen, Thomas Frank's done a great job. But we are comparing an apple with an orange here.
Maybe he should have got the Man United job. Maybe he should.
Well, I was open for it. I was someone that said, but I also know what would happen if we played that brand of football. It would be the same as under Jose. It would get us to a certain point, and everybody would be moaning about it. We've been there before. Midfield is more shaky than the jelly in my fridge. If this midfield,
let me look at Newcastle last night, just to butt in.
Sorry.
Like Newcastle won load of plaudits last night. I saw someone in the chat calling it Stone Age football. It was Rory Delap on Red Bull throwing balls into the box. It was corners. It was aggressive. It was Stoke. And you know, fair play to Eddie Howe. Nearly got them a point. Could have even got them a win. But you know, I think some people just get lost on the fact that it's a results game. That's what it is, and results are needed. Yeah.
No, I agree. It is that if United don't solve it and get these outgoings, no incomings, we're screwed. Yeah, listen, I do agree. We need to buy a midfielder. A midfielder of some sort is needed in the next few days, and that is on that is not on the manager. Mainoo it has to see a pathway in the system. That's on the manager. Imagine Mainoo at Chelsea or Arsenal's midfield. The manager needs
2 games in. It's going to start tomorrow. He needs a bloody pathway. Give it 24 hours, mate. He starts.
Well, this is the thing. We go back to that tweet there where Chris Wheeler was talking about he has 3 options. He can try and bench Bruno Fernandes, or he can search for a new move. I would rather a player say Amorim sits down and says you've got 2 choices this season, and I will give you chances to fight for the place with Bruno or to leave. If the player picks leave, then I don't want him at the club. I want a player that wants to fight for a position. Now, but if he doesn't get the chance, then yes, leave, because you've not had a promise fulfilled to you. But I don't want a player to leave because he's got to fight for a position. Just think about the precedent. Forget that you love Mainoo. Think and hate Bruno. Think of the precedent. To the 4-3-3 crowd, give me a centre back pairing that works. Who's the right back apart from Delo? Ahmad can be a wing back, but not a full back. And who will play left wing since Cunha is a 10? Well, this is also the issue. We've now started building for the 3-4-3. If we now go in a new direction, there's going to be holes still. We don't have a left midfielder anymore. We don't have we have centre backs that prefer and do a better job playing in a back 3. Because I will say one thing: in the first 3 games, defensively we've been very good for the vast majority of the matches, but yet no one's. Yeah. So again, we're creating new problems.
Brilliant.
Oh, amazing. Newcastle play Stone Age football, long throws, corner, dangerous tackles, and they had more of the ball, but Liverpool played the better football and took their chances. Liverpool played the game whilst Newcastle played the occasion. There's a lot of truth to that, and we're going to get that. Actually brings us into one of our next subjects, and we'll come back to some more of these super chats in a minute. But this is obviously the Isak news is now going to pick up a lot of pace. This is what Henry had to say about it last night after the game.
Do we know the whole story? No, we will never know the whole story. All I say is that at one point you cannot put yourself in a situation when you don't come to train.
So how do you see this resolving itself? Do you think it can in the next week? Is there a situation where he stays at Newcastle and comes back and welcomes back into the squad?
I think for me, in an ideal world, the best thing for him is, I think for everybody, is if he can leave. But I also do believe that when someone makes a mistake, if it sees as a mistake after from his dressing room, if he apologizes, then we can move on. If he scores goals and he starts to play the same way he played last year, the Newcastle fans will be okay about it.
Do you think the bid's come in? Do you think he can reintegrate? What's your views on this, Mark?
I think this is just a prime example again of not taking a beat and not thinking, because the contradiction smacks you in the face. You know, you can do all these things. We don't know the full story, but you cannot come in and train. Yeah, the guy who's playing for the club you played for, Arsenal, and just scored 2 goals at the weekend, and he's going to tear the league up, didn't train, didn't go back for Sporting. I'm not going to train for Sporting. You know, so the hypocrisy is laughable. You know, whatever happens, don't train. You've got to come in and train. Yeah, Gyokeres didn't come in and train. Plenty of people have not come in and trained. It's not like Isak's the first player in football history to not go and train in pre-season. I mean, yeah, look, I think the danger, and I don't know Isak and I don't know it, but if Isak had trained with Newcastle and said, look, I want to go, but I'm going to train and I'm going to make myself available. What are Newcastle going to do, Terry? They're going to go, oh, it didn't happen. Oh, sorry, it didn't happen. You'll just have to stay with us. He knows that. So he wants to go. He feels that Newcastle have took the piss. And he knows if he comes in and trains and plays, that window's going to pass and he's stuck. So what he's doing is, I'm not going to train. I'm going to force the move. And if I don't get the move, then I'll come and train and play and I'll apologise and everything like that. He's just forcing the move because he knows if he comes in, Newcastle will keep him. Because Newcastle, you talk about Man United, Elanga puts 3 brilliant crosses in yesterday. If they've got Wizard up front, even he's going to get on the end of 2 of them. Villa last week that have beat them with a striker. So Newcastle got 1 point from 6. If they bought a striker, they might have 6. They might have 4. So another team that's just not ready. And I think Newcastle, Liverpool, and Isak are all right. I've said it all along. I think they're all right. Newcastle want the strikers before they let him go, and then they will let him go. Isak wants to make it clear he wants to go, which he is, and Liverpool are willing to pay a British transfer record. So, I think people struggle with that. It's like the Bruno thing. You can want Bruno to be sold to Saudi if he's going to be a midfielder like I did, but you can also say if he's playing as our number 10, I'll keep him. Like, more than one thing can be right. And Liverpool, Newcastle, and Isak are all right. But we live in a world where people have to blame somebody.
Yeah, there's always got to be a villain, because I saw this tweet from this is a Liverpool fan. He's a guy that does the Gary Neville impressions, actually. He's been on the shows. He's a nice lad. So Wolves are putting in offers that are below for Larsson. One, Wolves are saying he's not for sale, but there is a kind of report that 75 million would be enough to make him bid. And he's essentially saying, so it's okay for Newcastle to bid for strikers that are supposedly not for sale, but when Liverpool do it, they're unsettling the player, it's disrespectful, and they should be seen as criminals. Now, Larsson isn't refusing to train, which is fair, but Liverpool aren't accountable for the actions of Alexander Isak. And I always say, you must have had this before in the YouTube world. Someone tweets something at you, you respond, and then maybe some people that follow you give that person some shit, and people are like, see, Mark, your audience have come for me. It's like, well, that Mark's not responsible for the behavior of people he doesn't know who happen to follow him. Yeah, normally it's the other way. And I'm the same as you. I look at this. Look, I think a bid's going to come this week from Liverpool. I think Liverpool are going to try and get this deal done, and they've got every single right to. But it's one of those things for me. I don't want to defend Liverpool where I don't need to, but I feel that the narrative that they've put in a British transfer bid. Yes, someone say it's too low, but it's 110 million, and it was basically all cash up front. And people are talking about a one of the biggest bids ever submitted by an English club for a player. They're talking about it as if it's disrespectful, where Newcastle themselves are bidding sort of 30 to 40 to 50% under the valuation of Wissa and Larsson. And everybody says, well, that's how you negotiate. There's something about it I just find absolutely jarring beyond belief. But we'd love to get the views.
Look, people are saying Isak's acting unprofessional. But if somebody said to you, you won't move to Liverpool unless you don't train and basically put a transfer request in. I'm absolutely convinced that if he was training and playing, Newcastle would go, we can't get a striker in, you're staying. So he needs people, he needs Newcastle to sign a striker for him to go. And you know, you reassess it in a week when the window's closed.
No, I absolutely agree, mate. I really do. Viewers, hit that like and that share button. This is Jason Carr. I want to go to this because I think this man's a little bit of a beast. He had a great day Saturday, but let's take a look at Jason Cundy's reaction.
You sponsored by TalkSPORT.
And it's goal.
I just now wind you up. It's great, isn't it?
Number one for Arsenal's number one up front, Victor Gyokeres, his first since arriving. And I have to say, it was worth the wait. A fantastic bit of solo play from the front man. He's beaten 1, 2, 3 Leeds players out on the left. He's cut inside and he's smashed it past the Leeds goalkeeper, Lucas Perry, from close range. Goalkeeper flat-footed. If he was perhaps at fault for the second goal, nothing he could have done about this. Brilliant stuff. A nice bit of play from Arsenal. A well-worked move that resulted in a sort of hoop ball forward from Calafiori. And he had still quite a lot to do, Gyokeres, out on the left-hand side. He's one-on-one with Strike. He cuts inside and smacked it past the goalkeeper. The crowd have gone berserk. David Raya was going berserk in his own goal as well. Lift off for Gyokeres. It's Arsenal 3, Leeds 0.
Yeah, good goal to be fair to him. Shocking.
It's a nice finish. He does well. I mean, he dances through the Leeds defence there. He's a powerful boy. Gets his shot, goes near post. But do you know what? These Arsenal fans, when they're doing the Gyokeres celebration, they're all doing that.
What is it?
Honestly, putting their hands over their face. Cringe FC again. They're so cringe, Arsenal. No one does cringe like Arsenal. Honestly, they don't. Credit to them. They're top cringers. Top cringers. They are.
It just made me laugh because they spent the whole show building up Gyokeres not scoring, how bad he's going to be, how clunky he looks. He scores, and then it's we've got to celebrate. So we've got to get the celebration police out again, Mark. People can't celebrate goals anymore.
Well, look, I had it from some United fans because obviously I don't just do the United stand, I do That's Football, and United aren't on there, so I love football and I really like Gyokeres, and it pissed me off as a non-Arsenal fan last week the way because I've seen it with United players so many times. A foreign player comes in and the agenda is written. He's too small, he's too slow, and you know straight away they've never watched them. And with Gyokeres, I mean, Rio Ferdinand said it when United were linked to him. I've watched him once. Me and Jolene, we've watched Gyokeres. He ain't ever going to. I mean, we need to find that clip. We need to find the Rio Ferdinand and Jolene Lescott clip. Arsenal fans are definitely going to find it because they watched him play and went, he ain't never going to work against Premier League centre backs. So there's Arsenal fans love all this. You get that clip, you get the goal, and you tag them in. But it wasn't just them. Like, there's so many people who've said it. They built this agenda against Gyokeres, and I said it last week, and I had the tweet ready. I said he will bang. I've got him for Golden Boot. He will bang. He's not fit. He hasn't had a pre-season. He's definitely not fit. I've seen Gyokeres before. He's not fit. He's not sharp. But the goal he scored was exactly what he's all about. And they think he's like, people think he's a shit Haaland. He actually gets goals. He dribbles. He can score goals like that. I mean, actually, when you look at that Leeds game, where was the opportunity? He didn't get a chance. No one's even learned to create chances for him yet. So, yeah, I was really happy about it because we have this, especially in the UK media. They make their minds up on people straight away.
Yeah.
And now they're going to have to change the agenda because he will score a lot of goals.
Well, this was the agenda.
Yeah, Isak. You're Gyokeres. You got to go for him. Why not?
I'm believing that you're going to go for him. He's not the guy.
I don't think he's the guy.
Gyokeres for me. No.
What for? You don't think so?
I've watched him. I've not watched him loads. I've watched him probably 3 times. We watched him together.
Yeah.
We watched him
one time,
3 times really, really closely.
Yeah.
And 3 times I've gone.
They were like this at the screen.
That you don't get away with that in the Prem.
That he ain't getting that opportunity
which
in the
games,
Prem
by the way?
or
Champions League games?
Yeah.
Because I'm like the fair weather fan that sees the commercial games, like, for example, the City game and everything. You go ooh. But I don't know.
Mate, when I see him physically matched, I don't see what else is there then. That's the questions that I'm asking. Is there enough after he's physically matched to be able to get him a goal?
See, these are those opinions. Is in the Man United game. In the Man United game, people have gone, see, Rio was right. The problem is you're using 1 game sample size. That goal he scored against Leeds, he did that consistently for Coventry, and he did it consistently for Sporting, and he's done it, and he's done it for Sweden as well. He's done it in the domestic leagues. He's done it in Europe. He's done it internationally. He's now done it in the Prem. There is more sample size that he can create and score goals himself, that he's got more to his game than just being physical and tapping it in from 3 yards. And it's not that you don't have to fancy a player. You can say they're wrong, but it's like I would say, it's the rationale behind what you say that is what gives it credibility or not. And I heard Rio say that. And listen, I love and respect Rio as a player. What he did for Man United was amazing. But I remember hearing that and thinking, oh, that's going to... But again, is that content creator settings? Is it, I'm going to do a Rory Jennings and say something that is likely to be wrong, but will then keep getting... We've just probably fed into it.
But you might be right on that. And, you know, I've said this before about Rio. Is he a YouTuber or is he an ex-player? Because he does come out with some, you know, I'm in a train station and I'm hearing that you could, you know, just absolute terrible stuff. And you just think, you don't need to do that. Who's advising you? You don't need to do that. You play for England and Man United. You don't need to do that. But I think when I heard that, because it's not recent, it was when he was linked to United. And when they say that they've watched him 3 or 4 times closely, I mean, I'm just imagining they've watched him for 1 minute and they're both really close watching the screen, because it's like they've not watched him. They haven't. You can't judge a player, and they've completely missed the brief on Gyokeres. I know a lot of Coventry fans, and they loved Gyokeres and said he was way too good for that league. He's a brilliant, brilliant player, and obviously we've seen what he did at Sporting, but. You know, to say, yeah, up against big Premier League centre-backs, what else has he got? He's like, it just completely and utterly undermines the fact he scored more goals in Europe than anyone else yet last year. I know Mbappe won the Golden Boot, but that's because of some stupid bloody weighting of goals in the top 5 league. Yeah. Unless he gets injured, I'm absolutely convinced he could. Well, I predicted Arsenal for the league, and I think Liverpool are right to be favourites, and I predicted him for the Golden Boot. So if he stays fit, we'll see what happens.
Inter Milan, AC Milan, Juve, Chelsea, national teams such as the Netherlands, Germany, Italy, all successful with 4-3-3. Kono talking absolute nonsense. Yeah, loads of people have been successful with it. Terry, have you done an FPL? There is. I'll have to find the link and share it, my bro. Yes, Terry, you're spot on. At Sporting, a wing back inverted into midfield in defence. At United, Amorim shifts the centre-backs up into midfield. It worked versus Arsenal, but we are less consistent. And this is the thing. We're results-based analysis. We score the goals. Nobody's crying. I worry for the United strand. That guy might not only get his haircut. Yeah. He DM'd me, actually. He said it is 5 games in a row, not just in the league. Look, I want to thank every single person who's tuned into the show. Sorry, another super chat. Kundi had much to say about Arsenal played Waneri at a young age, but Max Dowman plays at a younger age, and nothing is said. He's probably learned his lesson there, my friend. He's probably learned his lesson. But look, I want to thank you all very, very much indeed. Please hit the like button before you go. I'm live on the United Stand at 2 p.m. this afternoon, so get yourselves across there for the best show on the United Stand this week when I am on it. That's not necessarily true, but got to big yourself up. Who else is going to...
You never know. It might be, you know.
I did see... I went live the other day and I saw the first comment you read out was, "We want Terry." I was like, "Hey."
Was that you and your burner?
Yes, it was. No, actually, my mum. My mum did it, I think. It was my mum. God bless her. And he said, "God rest her soul. She's alive." I don't know why I said that. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. I'm also back live on the terrace at 3:30 today for Straight Facts. So it'd be great to see some of you back here for that. But until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.